during last Shanghai Platinum Week, one of our speaking guests, Mr. Chen Wei from Anglo America, said that platinum is not only an industrial mineral but also a ingredient for hot pots that's indispensable in your daily life. So our next speaker is also from Anglo America. His name is Mr. Oeyen. He is going to talk about new energy or creating a future for our PGMs. The floor is yours.
Ladies and gentlemen, when you're public speaking, you know that there is two very bad timings of the day to speak. Number one is the last one of the conference, because everybody is tired and wants to go home. Number two, I think even more challenging, is the last one before lunch, because everybody is hungry. This is me. So I will try to make this interesting for you and swift so that you can go to your lunch. I want to talk a little bit about market development at Anglo American. And this is how I would show market development in two pictures. And you probably now think that yesterday at the dinner, I had too much baijiu. And that's why I show you this crazy picture. But this is not the case. This is really how we see market development for PGMs. And let me explain you. On the left, you see the babies. Babies are cute, right? We all love babies, but babies are also young, and they don't know their future, and they have their whole future in front of them. PGMs are very young. We don't know anything about PGMs yet, and they have a big future still in front of them. PGMs, platinum group metals, were developed and were discovered in 1750, in the 18th century. In the world of metals, these are babies. If you compare this to iron ore, to copper, to bronze, which were millions of years ago already discovered. So PGMs are very young. We only know a few things about them. They're very pure, they're very innocent, and they're very cute if you use PGMs as jewelry, just as the babies. And the spaceship, this is the philosophy I want in my team. You probably know my team here in Shanghai, Tony Chen and everybody. I want us to have an open mind and to discover new applications for PGMs, because we know that PGMs are beautiful as jewelry. We know that they are good catalysts in your car, and we know that they are good for hydrogen. But there is maybe so much more out there. Why would we stay in this box? Why would we stay on Earth? Why would we stay in our universe? Let's fly out like this spaceship and discover new PGM applications, because PGMs are like these little babies, young and pure, and they don't know the future yet. So this is PGM market development for Anglo American, which I'm responsible for, in two pictures. So what we actually do is we are looking for multiple markets for our PGM. So you know today, it's very concentrated. It's mainly automotive in your catalytic converter, and jewelry, and a few industrial applications. And we at Anglo believe that it will be a much better future prospect if we diversify our applications for PGMs. All right, so what are we looking at here? We're looking at, we are bringing together three things. We are bringing together PGMs ideas, we are bringing together capital, and we are bringing together talent. And we call that commercializing innovation. Innovation is good when you sponsor R&D and they will find new applications and then you will have new PGM demand. But we want to commercialize that. We very early on put together the capital and these inventors who work for us for a very low salary, but for a big share in their startup company, because they all want to become Elon Musk, right? Or Jeff Bezos. Or Jack Ma, right? That's who they all want to become. And then we have two categories, basically, of demand. The ones in the middle are the well-known applications. So jewelry doesn't have to be invented. We know it's there. Investment doesn't have to be invented. We know you can use it as an investment. And I would say the hydrogen economy, although there is still some technology to be invented, basically hydrogen is well known, a fuel cell is well known, vehicles are developed, they're there. All these categories just need to be scaled, right? They need to be scaled up in order to be successful. On the right, you have a lot of categories that are still to be invented or in a research and development stage. These are things like carbon neutral feedstock, battery, storage, so right, PGMs could also play a role in battery storage, etc. What do we actually do? So we bring these three together, and then we have three categories from left to right. On the left is the ones that are very, very mature, which are still in a very early stage of development. And these are things where we start and invest ourselves, our capital, and have venture capital startup companies. The ones in the middle, that's where the technology maturity is already a little bit better, and we are looking for external capital to help us. For that, we have created a fund called AP Ventures, Anglo Platinum Ventures, of which some of you are invested. And in total, we have attracted a lot of investors from all over the world. And in total, we have now $400 million invested and assets under management in mainly the hydrogen economy. It's the whole ecosystem from production to transportation to storage to usage, right? And then on the right, we have the very mature sectors where we do commercial collaboration. And this is for investment with the WPIC, World Platinum Investment Council, for jewelry with PGI, Platinum Guild International, for example, where we really collaborate and try to scale the existing demand, because we believe there is still a lot of potential. I think platinum for investment is punching under its weight. It's a great investment. When the hydrogen economy is taking shape, it will be a great investment for the price of platinum. And jewelry still, and you will hear more about that today, has a great potential, especially to take market share from white gold, right? That is absolutely something that we believe in. So PGMs are actually great. You heard a lot about it yesterday. For those who were here yesterday, they're very pure, they're chemically versatile, they're great catalysts, and they can really help in shape the world of tomorrow. They can help tackling the problems of tomorrow. And the problems of tomorrow, or the problems of today, are climate change. So we need to have an energy transition. We have to take less carbon out of the ground and put it in the air. In the ground, it doesn't do any harm. In the air, it does a lot of harm, as you know. And we have to stop that, right? And we have to stop that by bringing in new technologies, and the hydrogen economy and hydrogen technology will be a big part of that. So, but a lot of other potential applications are available as well. So we put the world into three categories, right? We call it PGM for green transition, PGM for modern life, and then PGM for wealth and growth. And in total, we capture 9 opportunity areas, and you can see them there. So these are things like green hydrogen and mobility, computing, things like preserving food and food freshness, medical technology, but also investment and jewelry. And you see below that we are not only concentrating on platinum, because often we only talk about platinum, but as you just heard from Paul and the other miners, when we mine our platinum group metals, we have a lot of other metals that we sell as well: palladium, rhodium, ruthenium. So we are specifically looking for that as well. And on the bottom line, you see the applications there. So how do we go about? So let's just talk about a few. So in the energy transition, what would be very important for us is, and we'll talk about that a little bit, is that in the hydrogen economy, we have in the spaces where PGMs pop up that we have a lot of demand. That's very important for us. And that is in two spots. For production, when you split water with electrolysis, with a PEM electrolyzer, you need PGMs. And then in fuel cells. And where do we see the biggest application of fuel cells? It's in mobility. And in mobility, where do we see the biggest application of fuel cells? It's in trucks, but mainly in passenger cars, right? And passenger car fuel cells, electric fuel cell vehicles already do exist from the Western or the Japanese and the Korean manufacturers. So Hyundai and Toyota, there is two on the market, the Hyundai Nexo and the Toyota Mirai. In China, there is a fantastic car available, the Maxus, and many Chinese OEMs have now said that they are launching also fuel cell electric vehicles. The reasons why we think this will have a market is they are not a competitor to battery electric vehicle. I want to stress this. Fuel cell vehicle is not fighting with battery electric vehicle. It's complementary. For what a fuel cell vehicle is good, a battery vehicle is weak, and vice versa. For smaller vehicles and smaller distances, battery electric vehicles are perfect. To go to work, park the car, come back in the evening, or bring the children to school, come back, go to the supermarket, come back, go to the sports events of your children, come back. That's perfect with a battery electric car. But if you have a big SUV and you live in Shanghai and you want for Chinese New Year to visit your family in Beijing and you will want to drive there, you don't want to take the train because it's too expensive, or you don't want to take the plane because it's always delayed, you want to take the car, right? That's complicated with the battery electric vehicle, because if many do that, after 300 kilometer, 400 kilometer, you will have to stop and recharge, and everybody will have to stop and recharge. And if you have 4 cars in front of you who go to fast chargers of 40 minutes, you will have to wait probably 2 hours before you can charge. If you have a wife and 2 children in the back, and you will have to wait 2 hours to recharge, you will probably have either a heart attack or a divorce, most probably both, right? So fuel cells can help there, because a fuel cell is an electric vehicle which the customer can operate as a petrol vehicle. You drive, when you have 100 kilometers left, the car gives a little ding sound and a symbol, you fill it up and off you go. So for long distance, heavy vehicles, heavy applications, we think fuel cell vehicles are important, and they use a lot of PGMs because they have fuel cells, right? Also in batteries, in battery vehicles, today the battery is quite practical, but it's also heavy and expensive, right? That's why a Tesla Model S weighs over 2,000 kilos and is super expensive. So if we can shrink the batteries and make them lighter and cheaper, that will be good. So we have a startup company with university in Florida, in Miami, Florida International University, called Lion Battery, where when we put palladium in lithium-ion batteries, we can increase the energy density by 30 to 40%. That means that for the same battery, you have 30 or 40% more power or range, or, which will be the case, you keep the power or range and have a 30 to 40% smaller battery, which is smaller, lighter, and cheaper. That could be and will probably be the role of PGMs there as well. So this is a startup company that we founded. We're very, very proud of it. In the middle section there, we talk about a modern life. Food preservation, that's a very, very big issue. We all eat too much food. We are 8 billion people right now on the earth. We will soon be 10 billion people. If we keep eating like we are now and throwing away a lot of food, this is really not good for the climate, as you all know. And we have developed together with Furuya from Japan, a company called Furuya Ecotech, a catalyst that keeps your food in your refrigerator or while transporting fresh much longer, so you have to throw away much less. So we're very excited about that. We're also working on specialized cancer drugs, for example, with the University of Warwick in the United Kingdom. We are working on a cancer drug, chemotherapy. You know, chemotherapy is very sad. If you have cancer, you pump it in your body. The chemotherapy attacks the tumor, but also attacks other parts of your body, and the poor patients feel very sick. They get very pale, they lose their hair, etc. We have developed a platinum-based cancer drug, chemotherapy, that is dormant. So you inject it, you pump it around, but it doesn't do anything. And you activate it, you wake it up by hitting it with a certain frequency of ultraviolet and infrared light. So through the skin, you just light up the tumor, and only around the tumor this is active, and so you will have no side effects. We're very proud of that. So who would have known that PGMs could also do this? This is this picture that I showed you of the spaceship and of the babies that we want to do future things with. Another one is supercomputing, and we will talk about that. And then in the investment case, I will not talk too much about it. WPIC will have a lot of talk about that. But in the jewelry space, there is also space to invent new alloys. Alloys that can be 3D printed. With 3D printing of platinum jewelry, you can have very sexy design, holistic design, very young design instead of traditional design. So we think there is a very big potential there. Okay, so let me talk a little bit about fuel cell electric vehicles. The cars are there, they're great, they're beautiful, they're fantastic, but nobody buys them. That's an issue, right? So we have to promote them, and it's because many people don't know about fuel cell vehicles. Most people, even car people, think that a fuel cell vehicle is a hydrogen vehicle and it burns hydrogen instead of petrol. It's not true, right? So it's an electric vehicle, and the only difference is that instead of a big battery, you have a gas tank, a hydrogen tank, and a fuel cell that makes the electricity on board, so you can recharge it in 3 minutes instead of in 45 minutes. And so we are pushing this in Germany together with Uber. Uber, you know very well, this company in China, I think is Didi, is one of them, the ride haul. We have now, together with Toyota and Uber, 200 of these Toyota Mirai fuel cell vehicles on the road there. Because Berlin wants to go emission-free, and the Uber drivers, they go in shifts, they lease their vehicles, and they are using battery electric vehicles now, and they are losing a lot of time by always recharging, right? With this car, you don't have to recharge, you just fill it up. So the drivers love it, the customers love it, so it's really very positive. So we have a great grassroots marketing going on, and we already generated some positive press. So Bild and Auto Bild are Germany's biggest newspaper and car paper, and by extension Europe's biggest newspaper and car paper, and they have very positive remarks about that. So this is also one of the typical examples of things that we as Anglo-American market development do to have a push there for fuel cell vehicles, because it's in fuel cell vehicles, in fuel cells, that the PGM demand is created. Hydrogen by itself doesn't create any PGM demand. It's in the hydrogen sphere that PEM electrolyzers and fuel cells, these are the two only spots where a lot of PGM demand is created. So we have to push that, and that's really what we are doing. So in total, this is our ecosystem, and don't be nervous, I am not going to talk about every single one of them. This is just to show you that we have this ecosystem of over 50 companies, and which is spread along the whole matrix of potential futures. So we are going very broad. So we want to make PGM demand much more diversified. Now it's very concentrated on automotive and jewelry and a little bit of industry. It's like you take all your saving money and you put it into 3 shares. I can highly advise not to do that, right? And to spread it a little bit more. And that's how we want the future of the PGM industry be as well, to be less risk exposed to a few sectors. Then if something happens, the whole industry, and by extension, South Africa and the South African mine workers have a big issue. So, just a few of these companies that we talk about, carbon neutral feedstock. So we have supercritical, mission zero, and we have a few Chinese companies there, or Chinese inventions. Then on the supercomputing, we have two. One is with Northwestern University, that's just north of Chicago, where we're working on the computer chip of the future. I think you can all imagine that the demand for computer chips is just at the start, right? Everything will become computer chip driven. Today, my wife calls me and she looks in the refrigerator and she tells me what is missing and she tells me what I should buy in the supermarket. In the future, the refrigerator will tell my smartphone what is missing in the refrigerator, and the smartphone will tell me what to buy, or buy it themselves. All this will create a lot of computer chip demand, and the computer chip of the future, which is faster and consumes less energy, produces less heat when your laptop gets warm, you know, and that will be with PGMs in it. That's what we're working on it, with platinum and palladium in it. And even if it's just a little tiny bit, times an enormous amount of computer chips, this can be a substantial several million ounces per year of demand creation. So that's what we're working on. It's very, very cutting edge. And then you can see there with Warwick University, that's the drug, the cancer drug that I talk about, and then with Nanjing University. So also, we are not Western focused. Yes, we are a British company, and of course our natural habitat and our comfort zone is the Western world, but we make a very conscientious decision to put China in the focus. My senior leader for entire Asia Pacific is not stationed in our headquarters in Singapore. I stationed my team and my senior leadership team in Shanghai, because we really believe in the power and the future of China. All right, and these are just some examples to show you that we really mean it when we talk about China is important to us. The Chinese market for many Western companies traditionally is but it's a big market where they can sell the products. And secondly, maybe cheap labor where you can manufacture things. I don't believe that is the future. I think this is changing already. And we at Anglo, and me personally, I have a very strong belief that China is a technology hub of innovation. And it's a technology hub, and it will become a strong technology hub of innovation for the world. And that's why I am putting, and we are putting, a lot of emphasis on cooperation in China, in the technology field and in the innovation field. And we are deploying capital here in China to have startup companies that will help us realize this potential. So just a few examples. I already talked about Furuya EcoFront. So this is a catalyst, platinum-based catalyst, that will keep your fruit and your produce in the refrigerator or in a box longer fresh. So the brown spots on your banana will start appearing after 4 weeks instead of after 1 or 2 weeks. Or the berries that you're eating will stay longer fresh, etc. It can also deodorize certain industrial applications. So it has a huge, huge potential, and it's really good for the environment. Another one is CNI Tech. So we talked about that. This is the computer chip of the future based on very high-tech visual implications. And we have a booth in the back that can explain this in more detail to you. I am just a poor economist, and for me it's very uncomfortable to explain a high-tech slide from computers, especially in Mandarin. So this is a very high-level overview. And then we have Exuberance. Exuberance, a Chinese company that is making jewelry and making objects of art and can 3D print PGMs, right? So a very high-tech company that we have invested in, and we have a brand new facility there as well. So just some examples of our cooperation that we have here. So why are we doing all this, right? Why are we doing all this? We're doing this to keep demand going for our metals. And as you can see there from fuel cell vehicles, if only 10% of vehicles, so let's say 90% of vehicles in the world will be battery and will be internal combustion engine, if we can have 10% of the vehicles, fuel cell electric vehicles, we will have a couple of million ounces of demand per year for platinum, right? Together with batteries, this could be, well, 4 to 8 million ounces. And you can read the numbers there. For the other applications, they are smaller, but they can go up to like a mine shaft. Very, very easy. So there is a lot of future potential demand that we want to create, and there is a lot of value that we want to create with Anglo American, and that value we will not use to become rich, but we will use to reinvest and to do market development, so it becomes a self-funding exercise. So, to wrap it all up, we believe in the future of PGMs. We think it is a great future, and we think we have not seen the beginning yet. It's a very young metal. A lot has to be discovered, and we want to discover this with the best scientists in the world, and some of them, we are convinced, are right here in China. China, which we believe will become and is becoming very fast a technology and an innovation hub in the world, and we are ready to actively invest here to make this dream happen. Thank you very much. 谢谢。